How was Hedy Lamarr this far ahead of her time? Last night I couldn't sleep and I started thinking about people who live two completely different lives at the same time. And I came across someone who honestly doesn't make sense at first. Hedy Lamarr. Because on one side she was a Hollywood star, not just any actress, one of the most famous faces of her time. She acted in major films in the 1930s and 40s, including Samson and Delilah, which was one of the biggest productions of its era. So if you stop there, you would think, okay, classic story, actress, fame, Hollywood. But that's only half of it. At the same time, she was inventing things, serious things. During World War II, she teamed up with composer George Antheil, and together they worked on a system to guide torpedoes. The problem back then was simple. If you sent a radio signal to guide a torpedo, enemies could easily jam it. So they came up with an idea. Instead of sending a signal on one frequency, you constantly change the frequency in a synchronized pattern between sender and receiver, so the signal becomes almost impossible to block. This concept is called frequency hopping. At the time, it was too advanced for practical use. The military didn't really adapt it then, but later, that exact principle became the foundation for modern wireless communication. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS all rely on variations of that idea. So every time you connect your phone, there's a small piece of her thinking in it. And she wasn't done there. She was constantly sketching ideas, thinking about design, efficiency, movement. There are records that she explored improvements in aerodynamics, looking at how birds move, even studying natural shapes to think about better wing design. Not everything became a finished product, but the way she thought, that's what stands out. She didn't stay in one box. And maybe that's the most interesting part of her story, because people didn't really take her seriously as an inventor at the time. She was seen as the actress, which meant a lot of what she did intellectually was overlooked for years. Recognition came much later in her life, and that makes you wonder how many ideas were ahead of their time, simply because the people weren't ready to take the person behind them seriously. So when you think about Hedy Lamarr now, it's not just about Hollywood. It's about someone who lived in two worlds at once, one where she was seen and one where she was thinking far beyond what people expected. And somehow, the second one ended up shaping the future more than the first. I'm Mari, and this is Midnight Question.